to her.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Matt, what the hell was that?
Wasn't me, Coach. Welcome to the Straight Red Card. Get off our lawn.
But my balls itch. What famous album is that from? Well, I don't know how famous it is, but welcome to the Straight Red Card. Thank you for joining us today as we cover everything from Leeds to Chelsea to Roldan and Arriola pulling testicles and unfortunately being ousted from the team. We're going to cover a bunch of stuff. What's the other thing? The ban on a certain word.
Not word, just discriminatory chants in general.
Yeah, but that's pretty much the one that we're talking about, right?
I mean,
I don't know of any other
prevalent for us. Yeah.
Not
us, but
I don't know. I don't know if there are any other chants like that around the world. I imagine there have been, but I'm sure I would hope that they've been put to an end by now. But it's no guarantees.
It's funny you brought up album. So do you know what album that's from?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, you just gonna do the hang like that?
Yeah, but my balls itch. Yeah, it's a little in between the songs on a very famous hip hop album. At least it was famous back in like 1991, 90, somewhere around there. So that might be stretching it for some. You have to be a real hip hop fan to know where that's from. All right, the turd in the background says, "Welcome to the Straight Red Card. Leeds are marching on to the championship. Their holes in the defense are bigger than my wife's. Well, never mind. Too gross. Now, like the video, you bloody cum buckets." Yes, make sure you do like, subscribe, share it with your great aunt, and anybody else. Like, you turds.
So I'm not sure if I missed it there. Did you specify which band it was? The hip hop group?
No.
Oh, okay.
I did.
You were talking. All of a sudden, you jumped right into it. I was like, did he say it? I missed it.
Let's just say they were one of the classic first all white. No, they weren't all white because the DJ was
Beastie Boys.
Was black. No, but it wasn't the Beastie Boys. It was the other. Was the other New York act?
It was Snow.
Nope, no, the other big New York act in the 90s.
Vanilla Ice.
No, come on. You think I'd listen to Vanilla Ice?
We're talking white hip hop. That says I've extended my knowledge of white hip hop.
At one point, it was Beastie Boys and this group were the only two that were like legitimately considered like worth listening to, until we got what? Jump around, jump around, jump. Those guys, they did all right too, but the lyrics in that song would never pass the light of day because what is it? I'll serve your ass like John McEnroe. If your girl steps up, I'm smacking the hoe. You can't say that shit anymore.
Oh,
you can't say that.
Get over it.
But those are the lyrics in that Jump Around song, by the way. Nobody knows because they never played that part in the sports events. Right?
Oh, there was.
They just
Mark
played
and the Funky Bunch.
No, it wasn't.
I knew I forgot somebody. It's obvious. If he says Tribe Called Quest.
Tribe Called Quest was not white.
That's exactly what he said. They weren't white.
But I love House. No, good choice with the Jump Around song. That was House of Pain. That is correct. Which that album was pretty good. The one that song was on. And then that guy, he went and did sort of more acoustic sort of stuff after that.
It was funny because we're talking about music. I was driving home today and I heard Live on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I wonder if there are any other bands out there that have really odd marquees, like where they, when they're performing, it says like, because live would be weird. It's like, who's playing at the Vogue? Oh, it's live.
Yeah, I mean that is confusing, but I think the Bare Naked Ladies, as much as I despise their music, had it really going well. Because I remember back in the early '90s when they played,
we gotta go to the Vogue, Bare Naked Ladies,
Bloomington, and it was all up on and I had no idea who they were. And it was on the Bluebird, and it said bare naked ladies tonight. And I was like, really? They're going to have like naked chicks here at the Bluebird?
At the Bluebird, yeah.
That was pretty smart of them because I was interested at the time. So no, and the other interesting thing is the guys that produced the House of Pain album were the same guys who did a lot of work on the Cypress Hill shit. That's why a lot of that stuff sounds really similar. And why people thought Cypress Hill was a New York City band. They weren't. They're West Coast, but they had a New York sound. So Limp Bizkit. Well, I think he kind of went like House of Pain's here, and then Limp Bizkit's kind of like down here as far as the quality goes. So he kind of took a dip on that one.
But everybody knew Limp Bizkit. Probably not for all the good reasons, but
guess. All right. So if somebody can guess that, I've already given away all the hints. 2 white guys and a DJ who's black. Wasn't the Beastie Boys. Wasn't House of Pain. They had the Gas Face. That's a hint. They did the Gas Face. The Osmond Brothers. Oh, God. Oh, boy. The Osmond family. Remember? Donnie and Marie Osmond? My mom bought me the Donnie and Marie, when I was in kindergarten, the lunchbox, the plastic little lunchbox for the Donnie and Marie show. I said, Mom, I'm not going to school with this. I'm not going to school with this. I will get laughed at. I will not go to school. So then she buy me a fire truck, a fireman's lunchbox. I'm like, okay, that's better than Donnie Marie, but can't we do something better than this even? This is bad. Anyhow, even then at 5, I was a discerning, very discerning human being. NWA? Again, not white. Henson Brothers were way later, so no. And they didn't do hip hop. I can't believe nobody remembers this group. The Fat Boys. Okay. All right. They're white, like literally white people. They had a big hit called, I believe it was Gas Face was their big one. That was the big hit. They're off the first record, and then they had a couple more hits off the second. Anyhow.
Is that in the New York scene?
They're New Yorkers, yes. I'll give
Boys.
more. MC Search was one of the rappers. MC Search.
Will Smith, right?
All right, people are just fucking around now.
All right. Here it is.
Simon and Garfunkel, who, by the way, are amazing. They are amazing.
Could you imagine them saying "My balls itch" in between tracks?
I think Garfunkel might have said that because he had that really curly hair, and that shit curls back up onto your nutsack, and that gets itchy. Not that we all have curly hair for the most part on our nutsack area, but okay. I did see this headline today. This was hilarious, and for those who know, the headline was,
gotta go here.
Third base, thank you, bing, 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 bonus points. You get a free space on your card, by the way, tonight. Everyone who said
bad
third
news
base.
for you. Mitch could not make cards this week.
That's okay. All right, we can live with a cardless night. That's okay. But the headline for this that came up on my Yahoo News was Lou Ferrigno turned 70. Try not to throw up when you see him. Isn't that the meanest shit you've ever seen? Seriously. As a headline? Lou Ferrigno. Anybody remember him? He was the Hulk. In the original series, he was a bodybuilder. I guess apparently I didn't click on it, but he must be horrendous to look at 70. I don't think he can possibly be that ugly. Also,
he was in a couple of movies recently. I mean, he's not Lou Ferrigno of the 70s by any means, but he was still in decent shape.
I haven't seen him around. By the way, look at this. It's a massive Old Smoky. It's gigantic. It's look how large that is. You think I'm holding a small one? No, this is one of the larger ones. It's just as big as my head, which is hard to do because I got a big, ginormous skull. So that's what I'm going to be.
I guess the problem with Googling him is that you're never sure exactly when some of these photos are taken.
Yeah, you don't have to do that. We'll just assume he's ugly.
Well, okay, this has to be.
But not as ugly as the article headline.
Relatively recent. Let's take a look at this.
No, he looks fine.
Yeah, he looks like a 70-year-old bodybuilder. Now, there may be some really bad ones. I mean, you can see some where like Arnold's got a beer belly and shit like that roaming around. I mean, like they're old guys.
Yeah, this whole headline: try not to throw up when you see him. God,
sounds like they're trying to take him down a peg or two.
That's like, remember Derek Ritchie in high school? Try not to throw up when you see him. This new photo. Holy shit, he's disgusting. I did watch a video on how Lee and Perrin's Worcestershire sauce is made, by the way.
Yes, I've watched the video too.
Fantastic, isn't it? Anchovies,
I
tarramin.
never knew that shit went in it. But
well, the main ingredient's anchovies. Nobody knows that.
It's just how do you go into making that? I mean, like he's like, yeah, we have a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Let's put it together. See what happens.
What they did is they went to India, Lee and Perrin's. They did a trip in India, and they had this great fish sauce. And so while they were there with their rice and their food and all that, they're like, we want to replicate that. So when they came back, they couldn't find the same fish necessarily that they used in India. But they did find anchovies, and they gave that a try, and they mixed it up with the tamarind and all the other, and it worked. It didn't taste like what they had in India, but it had a whole different angle. And they're like, hey, let's just run with this shit. Yeah. And then the other dudes copied their sauce. So some incredible. What's the other company besides Lee and Perrin's? The big one. There's another company that makes Worcestershire sauce that's really big. And but Lee and Perrin's were the original. And so they just didn't get the patent on that quick enough, I guess. All right. What is Worcestershire sauce? It's essentially anchovy juice. That's really what it is.
Good with hamburger meat.
With tamarind. And I made Chex Mix this weekend. And it's just fabulous on Chex Mix.
Never would have assumed that in my life.
It's awesome.
No,
I use about 30 to 40% more than the recipe calls for of the Worcestershire.
It goes good in one of Derek's favorite dish, meatloaf.
I hate meatloaf.
I know you do.
Absolutely despise it. How about those other things that they have on the bottom of the page when you're on the news thing? And it's like largest animals on the planet. And it's a picture of like a giant fucking anaconda that's as big as a fucking house. And you're like, come on, who clicks on this? Who really clicks on this? Is there anybody so dumb and drooling all over themselves that they click on this ad? I can't even believe it.
Maybe. We've got a couple of them pulled up, I think.
What?
I said maybe. I think we've got a couple of them pulled up.
And one last thing I got to say is Elizabeth Moss. Do you know her?
No.
She's the actress in Mad Men, and she was also in The Handmaid's Tale.
No.
I think she turned 40 recently.
I've never actually seen Mad Men. I know I've wanted to at points of my life, and never really sat down and watched it, though.
Oh, it's classic. You must finish that once in your life. You must sit down and watch that. Although it is, 7-8 fucking seasons?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it went on for years. Like a decade that fucking program was on. But Elizabeth Moss is just one of those chicks
there's so many. Go ahead, finish it.
I just had a fucking crush on, man. Like the moment, and she's not like amazingly like beautiful in a Barbie way or anything like that. I just had a crush on her, and one of the commercials today was about her and The Handmaid's Tale's next season. I'm like, oh God, yeah, I got to watch The Handmaid's Tale. I love this chick. I love her act. She's an amazing actress too. Anyhow, Elizabeth Moss, big crush. Elizabeth, if you're listening, she's not. Give me a call.
She's a Scientologist, apparently.
Oh yeah, that kind of ruins.
I wonder how far up on that totem is she.
That kind of ruins it a little.
Yeah, I saw somewhere on Twitter that some guy got absolutely flamed on Twitter because he made the comparison of who's better. Was Connolly? What's her face?
Jennifer Connelly.
Jennifer Connelly in her prime versus Zendaya. Not Zendaya. Jesus Christ. What's the fucking name? The chick from Spider-Man, the new one. Guys, help me out,
I
please.
wouldn't know. I wouldn't know.
She's a singer. She was in the Greatest Show.
Eric Zavaleta.
Yeah, that's it. throwing some more soccer players with names either. Zendaya. It's close.
Zendaya. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know her, but I
Cheers,
don't.
Chants.
I wouldn't be able to take part in a debate between the two because I really don't know. You know. All right, let's start
So
some soccer.
what you're saying is you're biased, then, huh? You're biased towards Jennifer Connelly.
No, I don't really have any necessarily bias, for her being, the bee's knees or anything. I think she's a decent actor. But no, I'm more partial to Elizabeth Moss, frankly. Nicki Minaj's Anaconda, don't want none.
So while we're talking about animals, you had provided me an article. They had a movie out recently, and it's probably still in the theater. It's got to be. It hasn't been that long, really. But who's seen Cocaine Bear?
No, Cocaine Bear is now available on Apple. It's either Apple or is it Disney? I can't fucking remember now. Paramount, maybe. I can't remember, but it's now available. Like you can watch it. So I'm going to watch Cocaine Bear, no doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard it was horrible.
I heard it was a not so funny comedy is what it was. Not funny comedy, basically.
I mean, how do you ruin that?
He said,
really?
Raymond said
Peacock. Thank you, Peacock. Yes.
All those streaming services blend together, by the way, guys.
I think Raymond just wanted us to say cock.
Chambers says, I highly doubt it's on Disney.
I wouldn't know what.
Days.
I mean, Disney has The Punisher on it, right?
Technically, Marvel does, but they don't. Yeah.
I've been watching the Punisher series. It's pretty brutal to watch, honestly.
Sure. There's a reason why
enjoyable.
There's a reason why the Punisher series was one of the highest critically acclaimed from the fans as far as all the Marvel TV shows.
Really?
Yeah.
That
and Daredevil, that was another good one, at least first couple of seasons. I haven't watched any of that, but my brother says, hey, watch Punisher.
The Punisher is totally different from the original theme of it. We're talking about government conspiracies now and all kinds of shit you weren't in the original Punisher. Like it goes into all kinds of different, I don't know, permutations. No. But the actor who plays the Punisher was also the guy on The Walking Dead early on who gets killed.
Oh, spoiler alert for those who haven't seen season 3
of Walking Dead.
I think it's season 2.
Anyhow, he's really good in this. He really is.
No, yeah, I can't remember his name, but yeah, he's. I liked him in Walking Dead. I liked him in a number of things he's been in.
Maybe Jonathan can explain.
Shane, that's his name from Walking Dead is Shane.
Shane, yep.
Jonathan Rupert says he's going to go see Super Mario on Thursday, and you'll be one of the many people who go to see that because it's gonna break $1 billion worldwide. You
couldn't grab me by the testicles with a knife next to them and drag me to that movie. Not interested.
From what I heard, it is if you're a fan of Mario, you're going to enjoy it because it's a simple story. There's nothing behind it. It's entertaining.
Okay, wasn't the Super Mario Brothers things just a fucking video game?
Yes.
Okay.
Derek, there's a lot. Well, just so you know, you're watching Punisher, which happened to have been just a comic book.
Yeah, but a comic book is a story. It's just a story with cartoons.
You haven't played outside of FIFA. You haven't played many video games recently, have you?
I played a lot of ones with my son. Yes, I have.
There's a huge amount of storyline in most games.
Oh, and I fucking think half of them are fucking idiotic. They're not even funny. I can't even remember the cartoon one that I played with my son. And I just thought, what is this shit? Why does everybody a smartass in the whole fucking planet that we're playing this game? Why are they all think they're funny? Because they're not.
Well,
they're not funny.
I was going to say, up until that last moment, you're basically describing us and our audience. Everybody's sarcastic, a smart ass. Everybody's funny, but they're not funny. So that doesn't.
No, part of what makes people funny is that they can also be sincere. All right, like if you don't have the ability to be sincere about anything, it's really hard to find something that you say funny, because then you're just full of shit the whole time. And there's nothing in that for anybody. And that's why a lot of these fucking video games, it's like drawn in a cartoon way, this video game, and you're on a planet, and there's this guy named Jack, and there's all these fucking characters, and you're in space or sort of in space. I can't remember the fucking name of this shit, but I played it. And I played, I think, the first and the second because I wanted to have time with my son. I hated the game, but I played it because it was a chance for us to converse and talk. And, you know,
kind of like an old man, Derek.
Get on his level.
Sorry, yelling with those clouds.
right.
Jonathan Reber has the right point here. It is for the fans, just like the Sonic movie was for the fans. And
Both.
There you go. Was Derek playing Jax and Dexter?
Nope. I don't
That's,
know what that is. No, this is a game. It's in space. I don't know. I mean, you land on a planet. It's like almost a deserted planet, and there are all these fucking weirdos all over it, and you go shooting people. That's all I know. I wish I knew more.
How old of a game are we talking about?
I don't know, 6 years ago.
On the Xbox or PC or what? Well, it can't be PC. You wouldn't play on the PC.
No, I think it's Xbox.
Okay.
Anyhow, not a big
was it Mass
deal.
Effect?
Sounds familiar, but not it. A lot of cartoony characters. Anyhow,
Mass Effect. Borderlands.
There it is. Borderlands. Thank you.
Got your back up there.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate
It's a really
it.
popular game, Derek. You didn't like that?
I like the game. I like playing the game when you're shooting stuff and fighting. What I didn't like was the storyline sucked. I didn't like it. Everybody thought everyone in the, like, it would be better if there was characters that were serious, characters that were jovial, characters that had a good sense of humor, others that did not. But everybody's a fucking jokester. Everybody's a fucking comedian in this goddamn game. And after a while, it just wears on you. It is fun.
Not everybody.
It was fun to play.
Not every game's storyline is created equal. I have no idea. I've never actually played the Borderland games.
Well, maybe I'm just too old to get the humor too.
Well, it's possible, but I mean, at least you played it.
I tried, and I did play it. I played the first two, I believe. So there you go.
I really haven't played outside of like 7 Days to Die and like Minecraft. I haven't played anything since Jackson's aboard. And FIFA. I played some FIFA.
You will eventually, I'm sure, once he gets that.
He keeps trying to get me to play Roblox, and I'm like, I'll play it. And then we play it, and there's some games that are okay. This is fun. You know, there's other games like all you have to do is keep tapping the screen. I'm like, what the fuck for?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna eat this cheeseburger and get bigger, and then I go and sell my fatness. I don't know how this works out. This is weird.
Yeah, those kind of games don't get me.
Anyways, back to the giant anaconda story.
Yes.
And Cocaine Bear. Don't forget the Cocaine Bear.
Oh yeah, Cocaine Bear.
That's the whole point of this conversation. Start with that, guys.
Cocaine
Bear.
So I sent
apparently
you this.
They are branching out into other animals and other biomes, if you will.
I guess so.
They're going to be, as Derek put it, cocaine shark.
Cocaine shark is what I said, Brett.
This is like a cocaine shark meets Sharknado, and then a bunch of coked out sharks. Get more cocaine.
Sicily cocaine haul. Italian police sees 2 tons of cocaine floating in the sea. Perfect opportunity for a new script called Cocaine Shark. The shark gets it because some sharks will just bite into anything, right? You got the great white, you got the tiger, and can you imagine a shark on cocaine, man? That'd be intense.
Super intense, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't even care if this human is salty. I'm going to eat the rest of it.
You're just ripping through motherfuckers because he's so pumped up. So we'll see if that becomes a thing. All right, let's start the show.
I mean, I had no idea cocaine was like the illegal drug of choice for Europe, you know?
Yeah, I hope they're testing all that shit for fentanyl because at least in the United States.
Just don't even test it. Just get rid of it. You know?
Well, no,
we're gonna keep it in our evidence room, guys.
The problem for Europe is, unlike us, they do not have fentanyl test strips. So we do. At least we do in the state of Indiana. I know because we distribute them. And I'm just telling you that you can test your stash, right? And find out if it's fentanyl laced. And I don't know. And well, here's the thing. I do know Europe does not have the same kind of problem we have right now. They're worried about it. And I say that because BBC just recently interviewed my boss. Yeah, so they're worried. England's concerned. Oh, shit, is this coming our way next, fentanyl? Because we don't want it, you know?
Can you imagine a soccer team on cocaine? Oh, wait, that's Leeds.
Or it was Leeds. Because now Leeds don't play that way anymore until they're down by a goal. Then they play that way. Then they open up, and then they get beat 6-1. All right,
we're going to kind of branch off into this, I guess. But, I mean, do you think, I don't know, I'm going to bring up a tweet here, but, hey, remember when Leeds scapegoated Jesse Marsch for their defensive problems?
Listen, their defensive problems were never this bad. They've given up 11 goals in 2 games to Palace and Liverpool. All right? Mm-hmm. So I know people want to keep blaming Marsch, but Marsch never had games like this. Never. As bad as they were, as much as they lost.
Was it, I think Chris Gary ended up posting this somewhere, but he's like, the number of games Marsch lost by 4 goals or more was like 3. And the number of games since Marsch where he's lost 4 goals or more has been 3. We're talking about, obviously, almost an entire year for Jesse, whereas we're talking about a very small segment of games here. Now,
I would like to see those numbers. I do not believe that's correct.
No.
I believe Jesse Marsch did lose games by 3. I don't think he lost many games by 4.
It might have been 3 instead of 4. I'm going off of memory, Derek, and I can't really.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Well. Believe me, his losses were nowhere near the last 2 losses, and the last 4 games, by the way, have been atrocious in general. Is it coincidence that Adams is there no more to cover up those gaps to fill in front of the back 4? I don't think so.
Well, no, that's the big question, though, because obviously I mentioned this before the show, but somebody had posted, and I can't remember who did it, but said like games without Tyler Adams, they've leaked something like 15 plus goals in the short amount of time frame.
Yep.
Now, the alternative aspect of this is that people will say, well, do you want to lose a bunch of 1-0 games or have a chance to win games every now and then, type of thing. And you saw that with Leeds, especially with Jesse. This is the thing, though. This is why I'm wondering if the issue wasn't in fact Jesse. Perhaps it was Garcia just happened to have found a string of lucky performances where Leeds actually finished their opportunities.
No, it's just
because if you go back and replay it in your mind, Jesse actually had plenty of games where he was toe to toe. The team was equal. They had just as many opportunities. They just flubbed everything. And then they leak in a goal.
Right.
And it's just like maybe Garcia figured out in those rare instances where they didn't leak in the goal and they managed to capitalize on one of their opportunities. Maybe the issue isn't necessarily the coach. Maybe it's the players in this sense.
No, that's definitely the players. Gracias is figuring out real quick that, number one. I keep saying
Garcia. I don't know why. Whoops.
Yeah, you did, but that's okay.
Yeah. Like 4 or 5 times, Derek. 4 or 5
Gracie is figuring out real quick that without Mober in the back, without Adams in the middle, because think about it, you could play Adams and Roca next to each other and play McKennie in its more natural position and just bench Aronson altogether. Get him off the fucking pitch, period. And then you could play, they're great wingers on this team, so that's not the problem either. The problem is their back 4 sucks without cover, and they're missing Bober, and they have been during this horrible streak. And they're just getting their asses kicked. And it's one thing to get your ass kicked by Liverpool. I get it. Liverpool are supposed to be better than you, but Crystal Palace. Getting your ass stomped by fucking Crystal Palace at home. And then this game's at home too. So, Yeah, Tack's never going to live down that Adams take. Yeah, I mean, I think this is absolutely exposing Leeds for what they are without Adams.
Yeah.
So I, at one point, after the game where Roca and McKennie were so amazing and they won the game, I thought, well, maybe they don't need Adams. But I was completely wrong. I was wrong.
Well, yeah, and I always thought that was a rash decision, quite frankly. And yeah, maybe Adams doesn't necessarily bring the creative aspect of having a 10 along with a Roca and McKennie option anchoring. But man, I'm just saying, since Adams has left, man, they have been leaking goals like crazy.
And Struck and Cock look like limp cocks.
It literally just sounded like you said, like stroking cock.
Yes,
is what you just said. Right.
Struck and Cock look like limp dicks. That's what they look like. And they play like little boys.
Stroke harder or something.
Little afraid boys. They've done that now for 2 games in a row. And after watching them play together last game, I would at least pick one of them if I were Gracias and said, now, one of you motherfuckers are sitting because I'm not watching that embarrassing shit again.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm putting Cooper in to at least provide a little testicular fortitude to this back two. And then starting Christensen on the right today. I couldn't have thought of anything worse to do because that guy
except for playing Ailing on the right?
No, Christensen's just worse.
I don't know.
You think Ailing's bad, but Christensen is worse. He was so bad today. Fucking both of the center backs were chewing him out. Maybe, because they were embarrassed about their own performances, but it was just atrocious. He was bad. But everybody was bad.
Everybody was bad. That's the thing. So
yeah.
and people will be quick to point out that Diego is pulling a lot of heat for his McKennie takes. And he is. I even commented on one of his threads. I'm like, hey, you out here making friends again, Diego?
Why? What did he say
yes,
now?
Of course. I know he'll say something. He'll say something about Leeds, and then it'll just explode. But the problem is that everybody's already jumping on board on the blame McKennie.
Well, they are going to be after this last game because he had 2 big giveaways in this game.
I didn't get to watch. I didn't watch the game because when I saw that 6-1, I'm like, I am not devoting the time to watch this game. I don't care. I don't care that we played McKennie and Aronson. I'm just like, nope.
If you want to stop Liverpool from dominating the midfield, you got to play more than 2 midfielders. Because guess what? Aronson doesn't count as a midfielder in this setup as a CAM. He can't come back and do the kind of things that if you had Roca, Adams, and then right in front of them you had McKennie. That's a different setup there. That can be almost rotational if you need it to be. But you got to play 3 mids. You can't play just 2. You get killed. And they got killed today. And they got embarrassed, frankly. And the crowd took it out. And then you had Aronson going up to the crowd, waving his hand, saying, sorry, apologies, sorry, like this, sorry. Well, I mean, you can say sorry you want.
Was that endearing, though? Did the fans take that endearing, or did he take a lot of
I don't know. I'm sure he took heat.
Chambers says West seems like he kind of checked out.
That's what everybody was saying, too. Everybody felt like West checked out today. And I hope that's not the case because, listen, there's still games to go. You're not in the bottom 3. And I realize the schedule is going to be difficult, but there are teams that are in the bottom half of the table you could beat.
But at what point in the game did he seem to check out? Was it the whole game itself, or was it like 20 minutes in when they're already down like 2-0 or something like that?
To me, it was most noticeable like at 3-1, 4-1, somewhere around there, when it looked hopeless.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, no, I could imagine that being the issue then. Yeah. I mean, I imagine a lot of the teams seemed kind of like checked out at that point because they're losing 6-1.
If you look at the play where Arnold takes the ball off the arm, which wasn't called, and it bounces forward to the Liverpool player, and he goes off towards the goal.
With the most
McKennie's busting his ass to get back. He is busting his ass to get back. So I mean, it's not like he didn't give his all at the beginning of the game. I think he was, but here we are. We're playing McKennie 90 minutes a game, 90 minutes a game, 90 minutes a game. That's not sustainable.
Not for West, no.
But who are you going to put in to replace him? You got nobody else.
Greenwood? Yeah, Greenwood. Thank you. I was going to say Greenland, but Greenwood, yeah.
I mean,
no, you got to at that point because I mean, if you have a player that's not a 90-minute fit player, and Diego has mentioned that multiple times, that West will give it all for 60, 70 minutes, but he's not a 90-minute fit person.
But he's been playing 90.
That's the thing, though. At that point, you got to bring in somebody. You got to bring in a Greenwood or something like that, something to mix it up a bit towards throughout the game. Not necessarily this game, but even some games. I don't know.
They brought somebody in today. I can't remember who it was.
But Sabi has the point here where most people are calling him out right now. Leeds fans were hammering McKennie, calling him a tub of cookie dough. And actually, I mean, he's looked fitter now than he has for like the past year.
Yeah, if you think he's a tub now.
Yeah. I mean, he looks match fit. I mean, at this point, he's not going to be a Ronaldo. He's not going to be just slim and ripped. You know, he's going to be fit at points, and right now he's in a fit moment. Now, mind you, he might not all be there mentally. He might want to go in there at the beginning of the game, but if you're down 3-4-1 at that point, then a lot of people are checking out at that point. Even the fans are checking out. They're walking out like the 70th minute or something like that.
Like, to be fair to everybody, Christensen was horrible. Koch was horrible. Struck was horrible. Firpo was horrible. McKennie was horrible. Mm-hmm. Mark Rocco was horrible. Aronson was like, what's the point? Rodrigo was garbage.
Right, everybody was bad.
Yeah, but I want to say their names because it's worth saying. Rodrigo was garbage too. So
when did he get in?
He started.
Did he start?
Yeah. No Bamford.
I thought Bamford played. I must have glossed over that. Just assumed he was there because I looked at the lineup too.
The only guy that played he didn't play well, but he certainly took advantage of his moment was Sinistera. It was awful.
He got his goal, right?
Yeah, it was god-awful. All right, so let's move on to the next topic.
Let's move on to some more a more jovial topic here.
Are there ones?
There is.
Tottenham rolling back the years. Jurgen Klinsmann emerges as shock Antonio Conte's successor just months after taking
shocked everybody. Apparently.
South Korea role. You know, the thing about goal.com. Oh my God. All right. It's articles like this that just make me want to say, you guys suck. Like, do your fucking homework. This should not be the title. You know fucking damn well Jurgen Klinsmann's not taking the job at Tottenham. You're just searching for an article.
I know. Would be amazing if he ended up doing that. Like, I mean, amazingly bad for him, but still.
Well, we know that Klinsmann has ADHD. And we know that sometimes he'll take a job in Germany and then just quit 8 games later because he did that before, remember?
So it's not Hertha Berlin, wasn't it?
Yeah. So it's not altogether impossible that would happen. But I would imagine that someone in South Korea would have had to, rape him or something. I don't know, something really bad.
I feel like get out of that contract. Tottenham would have to pay. It would have to pay something pretty to South Korea. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I just don't see this happening. And they know that at goal.com. And I'll also say this about goal.com. Their commentary section is pure.
Well, hold on, not commentary, commentating. It's like the people who
comment section, yes, is garbage. It's pure garbage.
Yeah.
I don't know who these people are. I've never heard of any of them, but I don't know what it is on this one. But on some of the other ones, it's just atrocious. It really is. I don't even.
This one says there's 0 comments.
Well, there you go. That's appropriate. Because that article is a 0 out of 10. All right.
Look at him. He's like, yeah, good one.
That's
why would you think though that why would they think Klinsmann would be a viable option? What has Klinsmann done that would make you think that he'd be a viable option at Tottenham?
He once played at Tottenham.
I'm just saying, yeah, okay, fair enough.
And was their leading goal scorer. Back in the 1890s. I mean, come on, people.
Yeah.
Seriously, goal.com. Don't just write articles because you need to fill space. This is just blah.
I mean, if you're going to do that, at least look at us. We've been managing to filling in space for like the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, mostly
And
with
they've been
sharks.
good. They've been good, though.
Mostly with sharks, cocks, and asses. But yes.
ExpandYourHorizonGoal.com. Come on.
Yes.
One of
switch
us.
it up.
One of us.
All right. Next article. What do we got?
Oh, okay. Could they have picked the worst photo for Pulisic, by the way?
Yeah, this is the one where they're sticking an ice pick in his back. Apparently.
I mean, it looks like the Mirror is trying to make a joke out of all this. So, like, Christian Pulisic could have 5 options to quit Chelsea and seal summer transfer escape. But let's post a picture of where he's hurt. I mean, what? What a dumb photo.
It is. Are we sure seal's a verb in this particular sentence?
Do what?
Seal. The word seal, is it a verb in this sentence? In this headline? Sure. Okay.
I mean, it is, isn't it?
I don't know. Could be a noun. But yeah, let's go through the reasons. Let's go through the reasons here that the options that the Mirror has.
5? Do they mention in this article?
Yeah, they list them all. Let's go through them.
Oh, there we are. Here we go.
Let's look at the first one. Manchester United.
He's been linked there. That makes sense, though.
Yeah.
I'm sure United is keeping eyes on him and, keeping an eye on him.
Yeah, this is not going to happen. He's not going to Manchester United. Why would he?
The top two options here are the most vocal options for him, quite frankly.
I know Newcastle made a run.
Newcastle was going after him for a while. Who's else?
I
wouldn't to Dortmund. That was a rumor, wasn't it?
I'm not sure why the fuck that would happen. And does he really want to go back there and battle the talent they've got on there right now on the offensive, the front three? I mean, really, I wouldn't want to go there. There's no guaranteed starting spot on Dortmund for Christian Pulisic, I don't think, because they're playing some young kids, and those young kids are doing really well. Yes, this one's a joke.
No,
someone at the Mirror
this isn't
high
real. No. They missed Juventus first off. I missed Juventus. So Juventus again, 100% rumored. What we're on the Mirror. Really, this is an article.
Yeah,
like four of the 5 have been rumored as options. I'm surprised they didn't throw in Real Madrid here. Come on.
Well,
okay, Juventus. That's a viable option. Sure, why not?
What the deal is with Juventus is they are looking for who's the big striker?
No.
Dalovic. What's his name? Your striker at Juventus. What's his name? The big boy. Dalovic. Can't remember how to pronounce his name or even spell it.
God, I couldn't think about that in my head. I know I'm supposed to be the Juve specialist here, but I'm not.
Well, I wrote it down.
I don't watch it.
I can't find it. Anyhow, the deal is they need a center forward, right? And so
Beamer's got you covered.
Thank you, Vlahovic. And they need a center forward bad. And what they're going to do is say, you give us him, and we'll give you Pulisic and cash. All right? We just won't give you as much cash as we would have if it was just us buying that player. We're going to give you Pulisic and some cash. So we'll see if it seems like a reasonable deal, honestly.
But as far as I feel like, in what world what is Pulisic? He's 23, 24?
He's not coming MLS.
In what world is he going to LAFC?
None. Not any worlds. Zero worlds is he going to LAFC.
No.
Absolutely zero worlds. I don't know what's going on at the Mirror, but they need to look themselves in the mirror before they write
over
shit
some
like
of these
this.
things here. We got some laughs here. We got an LAFC.
Blow it up so I can read how they logically go through this or conclude this. This is hilarious.
Oh, whoa, way too much.
That's too much Solskjaer for me. All right. Nope. Oh. All right. Finally, Pulisic could opt to return to his native USA and play for LAFC as a marquee replacement for Gareth Bale. Oh my God. So what they're thinking, he's going to replace Gareth Bale? But Gareth Bale was not even a starter. He wasn't marquee when he was at LAFC. He was a marquee name, but he wasn't even a starter on that team.
Wasn't even a starter.
Who announced his retirement after representing Wales in the World Cup. It would be an eyebrow-raising move given the MLS is of a lower quality than European football. Why don't you say specifically? Why not just say lower than the Premier League? Because I'm not sure it's lower than some of the Europe. Listen, last I checked, Hungary is in fucking Europe. Last I checked, Austria is in Europe. Last I checked, there are a bunch of countries in Europe. So this is not how you should say that. But it could be served to elevate the league as it captures a star, a Pulisic's quality in the prime of his career.
Shut the fuck up.
This is so horrible.
This is the dumbest
so
thing.
Fucking horrible.
So stupid. Because there are 99 teams within the top 5 divisions that he can go and play for.
Yeah.
Before you even consider playing in a second division in Europe, before you consider coming back to MLS.
Yeah.
At the age of 23, 24. Here we go. Financially, LAFC could afford to meet Pulisic's current wages at £150,000 per week, which comes out to $7.8 million for the year, pounds. And I mean, that's the equivalent of dollars at this point. But yes, they could afford it. But Pulisic's going to be like, no
way.
In what world?
Especially after the MLS dissed him early on in his career by saying he was too small.
He's too small,
to play. Yeah, to play in MLS. So, yeah, he don't want to go. He's not going. Someone who wrote this article, by the way? Can we scroll up real fast? Just give him an asshole award.
Andrew Gamble
gambled too much with that last
too much. Yeah, it would have been fine if you replace LAFC with Real Madrid. At least then you could have an article like, okay, well, this is just a bunch of rumored shit. But when you throw in LAFC, come the fuck on.
I know, dude. It reminded me, it made me think when I read this article, like how lower the standards are now for writing soccer articles. Yeah. Like there used to be standards when I wrote. But now, like facts, and I was really into the data stuff. Like, so I was tracking all the Yanks Abroad many years ago. And it was all factual. Here's a list of everyone who's come home and why they came home. Here's a list of players that are still there and why they're still there and what the projections are for those players. But it was based on information. This is just fucking most of the stuff. Most of these articles are just out of their assholes.
Why even stop at LAFC? Why not just say MLS as a whole? Because there's not a team in MLS that wouldn't fork over $7.8 million for Pulisic if he was willing to come home.
Right.
Nobody would say, no, I've got better uses of my 7.8. No fucking chance. Why stop at LAFC? Why not just say the whole fucking league at that point?
And in what universe have you gotten the smell, the scent that Christian Pulisic is Landon Donovan? He is not Landon Donovan at all. Landon Donovan went to Europe early on and crumbled. Pulisic went to Europe
has achieved so much more in Europe. No. Let's wait to make that accomplishment for the national team. He might get there. He very well might get there, quite frankly. But
it's
but
not
as of right
everybody.
now, his international career has been head over heels for it. It's stupid. Dumb.
I'm not busting on Landon Donovan. He just wasn't made for that until way later in his career when he was much more mature and he went over and played for Everton, and he did a really good job while he was there. But his trip to Bayern was a bust too.
He did pretty decent for Bayern during the preseason.
The preseason, come on, dude. Against some real turkeys of teams, so yeah.
Teams from Turkey, you're right.
Some of them, I think, yeah.
All right. Hey, so while we're talking about as far as Dortmund being an option, let's talk about Dortmund for a little bit because we got another player on Dortmund.
Okay.
Who happened to have scored a goal this weekend.
Yes,
I don't know if you watched that.
I did.
Oh man! So going into it, I'm watching it. My kids are next to me. Reyna scores like whatever. It was like 92nd minute. And I'm like, holy fuck! And they're like, what happened? What happened? I'm like, oh no, this is good. This is good. Don't worry. My bad. Sorry about that. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, don't do as daddy says, not as he does, or whatever.
This is a good holy fuck.
Yeah, it's a good holy fuck. But yeah, Gio is apparently there we go. He is right up there with taking over Winalda's scoring record for an American in the Bundesliga.
Yeah. Yeah,
this is for a guy who spent most of the time on the bench.
I know.
Recently, this season, at least.
I guess people don't realize, and this gets clouded by Eric's personality and his sort of way of coming at things, but he was a really great player. I mean,
well, it's also decades ago. A lot of the fan base may not even remember or were alive during that time period.
I get it. Doesn't matter. You can still look it up. It's on Wikipedia. And he played in a horrible team in the Bundesliga, Saarbrücken. He got them. He helped get them there. And once he got them there, of course, they got their asses kicked, but he still scored goals that season. When they got relegated. People don't remember that. Winalda was a really pretty good player. And I think going back to MLS for him at the time he left and went back to MLS was the worst thing he could have done. I think he should have stuck it out in Germany. I think he would have found his way onto a better team eventually. Because I think, did he spend some time at Bochum? I don't remember. All I know is he had some injuries. I know that was a problem too.
He came over in 96. How old was he at that point?
That's a really good question.
I mean, he probably made pretty big. He probably made pretty 27? Big bank coming over to MLS at that point.
Well,
he felt pretty secure with the national team and everything going in the '98 World Cup.
Well, I'm sure he did. I don't know. I don't want to make excuses, but I mean, I think Eric would even look back on it and go, "Yeah, I should have stuck it out." But I wanted to support.
Interesting to find out at the very minimum.
He wanted to support the growth of the sport in the States, and I get it. A lot of players committed to that, and Budweiser and everybody else were pumping out some big bucks. Was it Bud or I think it was Bud to make help pay for the players to come back. So
I mean, it's a pretty consistent sponsor of the USSF. So
Anheuser-Busch, I think it was at the time. Yeah. And then you had all the big what they called the original group of owners. There's a nickname for them, and they were all ready to open the purse and pay the names from the 94 World Cup to come back. And they all did for the most part. So anyhow,
As far as the game is concerned, you thought at that point at the 92nd minute that the game was settled. Reyna was going to get yet another, probably his third game-winning goal coming off the bench.
And those fuckers.
Jesus. And they fuck it up in the last minute or two.
Yeah.
And I know there were 7 minutes of stoppage time, but God, fucking defend.
It was, I couldn't even believe it. I was like, this game's over, right?
I mean, there's a reason why Dortmund's always contenders for Bundesliga, but rarely fucking wins. And it's because they just leak goals. And on the games where they don't perform on the offensive matter, although this was a 3-3 game, they did perform. They just leaked as many as they performed. So I don't know. Well, it's frustrating to watch.
It was a little laziness on their part because they should be packing that in at the end of the game, and they allowed pretty much what I consider to be a breakaway goal, and they weren't packed in.
Yeah, you have 3 or 4 minutes left. Yeah, sit your asses back.
Pack it in.
I'm not a park the bus type of guy, but at that point, park the bus.
Yeah, park it. And, if you're the coach, that's on you too, because you didn't tell them to park it. And they kept going forward. And that was essentially a breakaway goal. It wasn't even really a breakaway in the standard sense that it was 4-on-3 or something like that.
I couldn't even believe it went in. I was like, of course it went in. And I closed my laptop and walked away. I was of course it did. Why? Well,
people are asking, does this mean he's going to play more? No, it doesn't. It doesn't right away because he's coming off of that sickness. So he's not fit. so you can't start.
There's a lot of talk. There's a lot of talk in the fan base that's talking. When I say fan base, I mean U.S. men's national team fan base. That's talking about how basically that the current coach just doesn't rate him as high as the previous coaches. And maybe that's why he's more or less considered an off the bench type of guy. And I know that Dortmund's running on all cylinders at this point. They're right up there with Bayern, running for the champions or the league itself. But I don't know.
Well,
I don't know what to think really at this point.
I think if you play him as a second striker or somewhere around there, CAM, I think he's going to do some good shit for you. But I think if you play him out wide or you play him as a midfielder, I just don't think you're going to get the kind of activity that the coach is asking for at the beginning of games, because I don't think that Reyna...
Everybody's full of energy at that point. They're not worn down. If he's in the middle, he's able to orchestrate where the game moves around. It makes sense.
Yeah, he's not going to play that much. He's not bad at defense, but he doesn't exude like I'm here to play some killer defense. And so maybe that's the problem, but it is because he's continuously coming off of this injury, then the sickness. So no, he's not going to start next game, I don't think, because there's no way he could be 100% fit at this point after being sick for 2 weeks. So, I mean, if you're sick, you're not out jogging or running around or at training, running full bore. So yeah, your fitness will go down. It'll take him a while to build that back up. But until then, he's just going to come off the bench for the last 10 minutes of games, especially if they're losing or they need a goal because they're tied. He's not going to come in if they're up and all they need to do is close the game out. All right. Then he's not coming in at all. So I think that's what we're looking at right now, to be really honest about it. And something's going to have to change attitude-wise.
This is the kind of the argument that I've had with a number of people when we talked about like the World Cup and stuff like that too. Like how do you ride out the 1-0 win against Iran? Do you bring in Reyna when you don't need an offensive presence at all? But there is something to be said about bringing in a player who can maintain possession and control the play of the game. And when we played Iran and we went up and it was like the 60th minute or whatever, and we parked the bus for the last 30 minutes and we allowed them to have chance after chance after chance. I don't agree with that tactic, quite frankly. That's way too early to be parking the bus. And again, I think
Brett,
there's a lot to be. It worked out, yes. But there's a lot to be said about bringing in a player who can control the game itself.
Well, see, that's the problem with this game, because Dortmund did have control, and they were actually drilling the balls into the corners and wasting time. And then they lost possession, and in an instant, they were counterattacked, and they lost. They gave up a goal. So
you can't necessarily blame that on Reyna, though, is my point.
I'm not blaming it on Reyna. I'm just saying it's the coach's decision about what you're going to do. Are you going to make sure you got a block of 8, right?
Yeah,
and you've got 2 guys that can diddle around.
Parking the bus in the last 4 minutes of stoppage time compared to parking the bus at the 60th minute in a World Cup match.
Well, that's true, but we did manage to pull it off. I wasn't
100%. Yes, I'll give.
I wasn't comfortable with that either during the World Cup.
That was the most nerve-wracking.
That was way too early to park the bus. But the question will become: can Reyna be a kind of player that you want to start every game, because he's going to bring that magic that he's been bringing in the last 10 minutes of games for the full 60. And if he can prove that he can do that, then he's going to play and he's going to start. But he's got to stay fit. He's got to stay healthy. He's got to quit getting injured. And we just haven't seen that out of Reyna for 2 years now. I mean, an occasional game here and there, but that's it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you'd say 2 years. No, it's only been a year.
2 seasons.
Well, it has been one. It's been more the equivalent of 1 season.
Yeah. It's still too long.
Yeah,
it's too long.
The season prior to that, different coach. He was starting every freaking game, and then he got injured. And coming back from injury, sure, it's going to take time to come back. And the big problem, I would say, and I'll make the argument that the coach isn't going to rock the boat right now, because the team, quite frankly, is firing on all cylinders. They're winning matches outside of this last week.
This last game.
They're winning matches. They're keeping up there with Bayern. They're contender for the league itself. you don't want to rock it. But and then to your point, at certain games strategically, if you're up 1-0 and it's like the 80th minute, do you bring Reyna in? No, of course.
No.
Maybe you do park the bus at that point. You bring in more defensive-minded players or whatever.
And I'm not talking
a striker who can hold up the ball, and then you bring in some more defensive-minded players.
And I'm not talking about what you would do or I would do. I'm just telling you what Tersic's been doing.
Sure.
And when he's up with 10 minutes to go, he's not bringing on Reyna. It ain't happening. You just go back and look at all the games where they've been up a goal.
A goal. We should specify that. If it's more than a goal, then yeah, I would absolutely be throwing Reyna in there just to get some more minutes.
Right.
Get him some more minutes in there. That's all I'm saying.
Right. So but all these people are like, oh, see, he's only good off the bench. No, that's not what this proves.
It's like the people are saying the same thing about Pulisic too.
Yeah, it's not true.
Not true.
That's not what any of this proves. I mean, and that's not how logic works either. So these guys will find their time and space, especially Reyna. Reyna's super talented. Pulisic will find a place where he can start every game if he makes the right choices.
Yeah, and Pulisic's contract's coming to an end. He's got like one more year left or something like that. So, I mean, whether he or Chelsea is going to make a decision.
No, he's gone.
Do you think he's going to sign again with Chelsea with Lambert there?
No, he's gone.
Okay.
I think
I would hope so. I would hope because the fan base hasn't been very kind to him.
No, I don't think
at times, bad reasons at other times too. But
I think it's been a fair weather crowd, frankly.
Yeah.
But when things are going great, they love them, and when they're going not so great, they hate them.
The problem, the counter to that is that they're not that way with other players. That's the frustrating aspect.
I just want to say before we leave the Chelsea thing, hey, how's that Enzo Fernandez looking right now? I don't mean to poke the bear, but
you just keep poking him. He's hibernating right now, Derek Lee Malone.
He didn't look very good last game either.
Stash of cocaine, man.
I mean, granted, nobody on Chelsea looked good. It was fucking a shit fest. I can't even stand watching that team anymore. They were outplayed by Brighton so badly. When you look at the proportion of the funds spent at Chelsea and you look at the funds spent at Brighton, and then you look at the quality of the two teams, how the two teams function, who play, you would think that Brighton was the team that spent $600 million. Yeah. Not fucking Chelsea. What Chelsea is shambles, and it's totally unexcusable to be this bad when you pay that much money. But when you got 31 motherfuckers on the goddamn roster, you got to make everybody happy, and you're playing a different fucking lineup every single game. You build no chemistry. This team is such the owner's a dumbass.
That's the problem, though. I mean, you could have a full roster of like star players, but they don't necessarily have to perform well together. And you can see that. Like they should be performing better given their roster. They should be up there with the contenders, but they're not. What's happening? Something's amiss.
Yeah, like
that's
chemistry.
The problem. They're not playing together.
No.
And that's the problem with just spending money, is that you're bringing in all these players, but they don't have that team chemistry as a whole.
And then you could say, well, the Brighton manager is just a fucking genius. Okay, well,
but the other teams that they played,
maybe he is a genius, but at the same time, he has a very limited roster to work with, and they seem to start the same, like at least 8, 9, 10 guys every game. So
you shuffle around, you do some rotation, you got to keep everybody fresh.
But it's a team. Mm-hmm. That knows each other. They're in it together. There's a culture there. Those guys play for one another, whereas the Chelsea guys are all playing for themselves.
Well, I'll say you could say that back in the original Lampard age, because I'm only gonna go as far as Pulisic's been there. So the first season or two, whatever that Lampard was there, that Pulisic was getting time. That team had a core group of people, and they played. And then the beginning of Tuchel, it was the same way. They had the same core group of guys that played, and then things changed at that point. And at that point, once things started to change, you started seeing – I'm not saying that was just Pulisic going to the bench or anything like that, but you started seeing all the starters getting shuffled about a bit. Maybe they're playing different positions. They're playing different spots than they used to, or maybe they're not playing at all. Injuries happen, all that shit. But I mean, that you start seeing a degradation as far as where they're playing, how they're playing, and well they're performing within the league.
Yeah, I mean, after a while, Tuchel was fucking around so much it got bad too. So, yeah, I think it's good.
Too much to his good friend Klinsmann. How did you run Bayern, by the way?
Well, I will say this. I mean, on any good team, you got to know who your best 11 are. And I hate to sound like Stevie Nichols, but when you know who those guys are, the rotation should really be like, who needs a rest, right? Mm-hmm. Who needs a rest? Who needs a break? Not, I need to experiment every game and fuck around with my formation every fucking game.
Yeah.
And I mean, how's that going to work? It doesn't work. Nobody that's ever tried it has made it work. Like most guys go, I know who my guys are, and I'm going to, this is what Marino was so good at.
This is what you're trying to say right here. Rotation is important. You need an identity.
Yes, absolutely. And it's just such a basic thing. You kind of wonder how that can elude somebody like Graham Potter, or that can elude somebody like Tuchel, or that can elude somebody
I think more
like
Potter
Frank
just from
Lampard.
His upbringing with the clubs that he played or managed beforehand.
You'd
have to understand that there has to be a consistency.
He was totally opposite when he was at Brighton. He played a consistent lineup and he rotated, and that was it. He didn't fiddle fuck around. Right? Yeah.
That's your point, though. He's got a team of all
31 superstars.
I should just be able to play whoever the fuck I want, and it should work.
Yeah, you would theoretically think that would be the case, but that's not how soccer works. Like 11 guys on the field who have no fucking clue who their neighbor is. They're just not going to have any chemistry, and they're not going to work together very well. You bring in all these guys too, like the Ukrainian guy whose name I can never remember, and then Enzo. You bring in all these new players, and then all of a sudden Kovacic is no longer a regular starter, a guy who was the backbone of this fucking team. And God knows if Conte were healthy, this would look very differently, I think, because I think Conte would be a regular starter.
And I'm not going to even I'm going to make the comparison, but not make the comparison. But it's the equivalent of with Leeds and Adams in that sense. You lose Conte, and all of a sudden it just went to shambles. You didn't have quite the same presence in the midfield. And again,
or leadership.
Not saying that they're the same, but I'm saying the situation is kind of the same.
No, they in many ways, Brett, you're right. Here's the sameness. Who's the leader on Chelsea on the field?
Pulisic. Oh,
no.
Man, shit.
There are no leaders on Chelsea. And with Adams gone and with Cooper sitting the bench, who's the leader on Leeds? Nobody.
McKinney. Oh, fuck.
Nope. There are no leaders. And it's so evident when you see that, like, Adams was I know somebody else wore the armband, but Adams was the leader of that team. Anonymity, it will go both ways. Shitty MLS clubs like Chicago and Houston will suffer, I agree. But Louisville and Sacramento, for example, will have excrement. Oh, investment. I'm sorry. Brett.
Shitty?
Your team is shitty. They did win, didn't they? Just win?
No, they drew. They pulled out pure Chicago style this past weekend, and they drew.
Okay,
idiots. They went up. I don't want to talk about it.
I remember watching.
I don't want to talk about it. We hit a string of solid performances and wins, and we're in the playoff contention right now. Let's just go to the playoffs now.
Yeah. So, should we cover the Yanks Abroad real quick?
We've got so many other things to cover, Derek. I know we're 10 minutes. This is going to be a long one for now because we've been bullshitting this for so long. Here we go. Here we go. Transfer news. Can you read this? I don't know if you can read this.
Wait. I thought he wasn't linked to an EPL club. He's really not. Don't worry about it. He's not.
He's not. But okay. So there's this article that's been going around. Of course, Zach here, who's a follower of ours, he posted this in jest. This is for fun.
Yeah, I see the laughy thing. Yeah.
A lot of people did not take this as a joke and for fun. The fact that Liverpool.com has specified that that Pepe is linked to Liverpool transfer.
It's asinine, people.
Suarez. And
I mean,
here's the gist of it, basically. So Pepe had actually really admired Suarez, and he says one of the main reasons why I went to Groningen was because of Luis Suarez played there. We have a lot in common,
Oh,
et
God.
cetera, et cetera. We come from Latino blood, et cetera, et cetera. And people are like, oh, that must mean he wants to be linked to Liverpool. I'm like, no. It's just a simple thing. Come on, guys.
Asinine. This is so asinine. Somebody posted
This is an article.
That he's linked with Liverpool. Who wrote it? I want to know. Call him out. Let's call him out. Who wrote it? Blow it up.
Ben Boksak.
All right, blow it up more because you can't pronounce things.
Yeah, it's Boksak.
Bosick? Ben Bosick.
Boksak.
Emphasizing a lot on the sack, aren't you?
It's definitely, yeah, absolutely. Of course.
All right, whatever.
B. Marvin knows it. Liverpool's monitoring Pepe. They're keeping
it's so ridiculous. These kind of articles must stop. They must stop now. The standards for writing an article about soccer are so fucking low that this Ben Bossack guy can write horse shit like this. Listen, if I will pay him, I don't know, if he wants to make a bet about whether or not Pepe's going to go to Liverpool, I would call him up tomorrow if he gave me his phone number. I said, let's do it.
No.
I'll give you $1,000 if you fucking get it, but you got to pay me $1,000.
You're wrong, Derek. It's confirmed. Pepe's going to Liverpool.
Fucking ridiculous. These guys
and
get paid to write
article's all about
shit.
him. Suarez going to Groningen and again going to was it Ajax? Yeah, Ajax, I believe. And then made his way over to Liverpool. So clearly that's the route that Pepe's going to. Pepe is now Groningen. He's scored all these goals. You have PSV, you have Feyenoord, and you have Ajax, all keeping an eye on him. Want him at their club. So he's going to go to Ajax. Then after that, after a couple seasons, he's going to go to Liverpool, Derek. You're not.
No, he's not.
You would never predict this. This is going to happen.
No, he's not. Nope. I can't even make a joke about it, Brett.
I am making a joke about it, Derek.
That's where I'm at, dude. This kind of articles now irritates me to the point where I have a hard time laughing about it because it's irritating.
Pepe is the next Suarez. You don't realize this yet, Derek.
He's going to go bite motherfuckers. I get it.
He's going to bite.
But here's the thing: the real debate that needs to be talked about right now is whether or not Pepe is going to go back to Augsburg and tell them to go fuck themselves or not. So here's the point.
Kind of has, but
no, he has sort of already given the tiny little middle finger so far. But Augsburg's going to survive this season. They're going to be in the Bundesliga next season. I know they play terrorist soccer. I know everybody says it's soccer terrorism. Augsburg's horrible. Don't like watching Augsburg, but so what? They've got guys scoring at Augsburg. Why can't that be Pepe scoring at Augsburg? You think that Augsburg are ready going to just let him go for half of the worth that they paid for him? No, they're going to go down with a fight. And you think Feyenoord is going to cough up the kind of cash for fucking Pepe to rip him out? There's going to be some sort of side deal made in order for that to go on. Like it'll have to be a loan to Feyenoord, and he's going to go back to Augsburg again. That's just how this is going to work because there's no way any Dutch club outside of Ajax can afford fucking.
Well, here's the thing, though.
At his original rate.
Science is working against you because clearly here it is right here in front of us. I am Latin. Suarez is Latin. So I'm going to Liverpool. Don't you know science, Derek, you dummy?
Yeah, I guess so. Blucher was Prussian, and I'm Prussian, so I guess I'm going to win the Battle of Waterloo. All right.
I had to bring this up because we needed some laughs. We needed some laughs.
Well, it reminds me of that dumbass on YouTube who was taking the DNA test. What is it, 21andMe? And he's sitting there with the chick, and he's like, you know what? If I'm not anything but 100% Mexican, I'm going to be really pissed off.
What is 100% Mexican?
100% Mexican. There is no such thing, you fucking idiot. World? You're either going to be this percentage of Spanish or Portuguese or this percentage of indigenous or whatever things were mixed in before that. You're not. There's no such thing as being 100% Mexican. Do you not understand history?
I'm 45% Russian. Who'd have thought?
You understand history, how history works. God, I was just like, oh, just couldn't watch it. I was
Well,
like, and the girl,
100% Mexican. I mean, you had to have come from somebody else besides Mexico because there were not indigenous people in Mexico.
Yeah, there were.
They moved across the land bridge from Asia and / Europe to an extent,
Right.
mainly Asia, and they worked their way down. So they stem from Asia somewhere.
Yes, but still, a lot of those genetics changed over the years. So they're indigenous people in South America and Central America, etc., have a different sort of DNA strand than, say, the indigenous people in Australia or indigenous people even in different parts of the world. So they can tell some of that apart. That's why
you give yourself 1,000 years of evolution or plus. I mean, yes, things will change. 100%.
So with that
you can at least branch it back to a certain point. Look, we know that you're 4% Neanderthal, Derek.
This guy, by the way, on this looks so.
You just immediately jump to the next. Whatever, Brett.
I'm done with the Neanderthal jokes, but this guy looked so like Spanish, white Spanish, and he was so disappointed to find out he was 44% European. I'm like, why are you disappointed with being 44% Iberian, Spanish or Portuguese? What is wrong with you?
Didn't come and rape Central and South America. I mean,
yeah, they did some bad shit. There's nothing you could have done about it. So, I mean, I don't know why that's such a horrible thing for you. And there's no way, the way you look, that you are going to be anywhere near an indigenous, person living in the sort of Mexico / Guatemalan era, because you don't look anything like what those people look like. So anyhow, I just don't understand these people. They don't understand history. It's mind-blowing to me. This guy came into the test wanting to be 100% Mexican. That's not a race, dude. Derek, why is your German grandfather from Argentina? He never made it to Argentina, my friend. But that's a funny question.
Not for the reasons we think. No.
Yeah, no. He didn't have to run away. He didn't have to run away like others.
Derek, this is a great segment, or great segue that you brought up here that we had not planned at all, by the way. Mm-hmm. This works out nicely. And this is I feel like this might draw out a bit of a rant from you.
Oh,
so
really?
I'm apologizing to the crowd now, all 86 of you right now. I didn't do this on purpose, but maybe I did.
Yeah, okay. He says, which one should I read first?
Start here.
Rico?
Yeah.
If that was really the case, then why Balogun is playing for the US right now? What? He's not. Why does he playing waiting game for? Why is he treating US soccer like second class? So don't give me the dual nat BS. Morris made it a priority. Balogun doesn't care.
So this is in reference to both Morris, because I'm brought up Morris. I'm not sure how this worked out, but Morris and Balogun were both born in the United States, because there's a bunch of xenophobic topics or discussion going on here that Balogun isn't really American, and he's choosing only to pick America because he can't make it for England. That's what this whole topic is about.
Okay. And this guy Rico is saying, if that was really the case, then why Balogun is playing for US right now?
Why is he not? I mean, imagine it's supposed to be why is.
So the motherfucker learn to fucking write a sentence. Why can't he learn to write a sentence? He doesn't even have the word "not" in there.
Derek Morris has Jordan Morris has been born and raised and lived in the United States his entire life. Balogun was born in the United States. That's his only connection to the United States. Clearly, Morris is more American, right?
This is ridiculous.
End of demo.
Listen, Balogun was born in the United States, and that's all that fucking matters. Balogun is going to make his decision. And I guess people don't, and he says, don't give me this dual nat BS. Well, then you must not have any understanding of what that means.
This is the one that got me right here. Morris made it a priority because he had nobody else to play choice for. Who was Morris going to play for besides the United States?
I guess he has like a great-great-grandmother who lived in Ireland. I don't know. But seriously, give me a break. You know, when these people show up and make these dumb fucking remarks because they are so fucking ignorant, It's just so ridiculous. I mean, what do you say to somebody like that? Okay, I know what you say. You're a dumbass. You're a fucking dipshit. Learn some shit about being a dual nat and what that means. And yeah, I don't think he's stringing the U.S. along. I just, if he would have been called up by England, would he be there? Probably. So what? So
but the so don't give me the dual nat BS.
It's still dual nat.
It is a tough decision for dual nats, and I've always been willing to give the dual nats the benefit of the doubt when they choose their option, who they go for. That's who they want to represent at that point. Balogun is still feeling it out. I mean, yeah of course. 100%.
I don't think he's feeling it out.
If England came by tomorrow and said, "Hey,
they won't.
You're going to start the next game," Balogun would absolutely choose England, and I'm not doubting that whatsoever. But the fact that if he what
I do now,
what?
I don't think he'd go even if they called him up.
Okay, no, fair enough on that point. I'm just saying. Okay, I'm saying the reason it's been strung along as long as it has been because it has been a topic. Oh, is it going to be England? Is it going to be United States? He felt favorable towards one way, but then again, maybe he got strung along.
No,
and he got love. He got love from one side of the debate here.
He has not been strung along by anybody. England has been straight up with him. Sorry, buddy, you're a U21 player. Sorry, buddy, you're a youth player. You got to earn it. You haven't played in the EPL yet, so you must not be good. They clearly told him what his shortcomings and deficiencies are. And he said, fuck that. That's bullshit. I am competing for the Golden Boot in France, and I should get some sort of acknowledgement for that. And we are saying, hey, yeah, we'd like an option at a striker position. You were born in New York. I heard you were born in our country. So, hey, would you consider us? And that guy, Musa, who's a good friend of yours, he already plays for us. So would you consider us too? It's not that this is not a difficult discussion. So. No,
this is a stupid discussion. They if you went through the whole thread and everything, they talked about the mercenary players. The players like Jermaine Jones, the mercenary.
Fuck
American,
that. Jermaine Jones was one of the best U.S. players that ever put his heart and soul into the fucking United States men's national team.
That goes against their point, Derek, because he was originally playing for Germany.
Their point is dumb.
Be a German national team player. Then he made the switch to the United States because he knew he wasn't going to make it, right?
Fucking don't care. Because when he came and he played for us, he gave his heart and soul. That's 100%. All I give a shit about. And where does he live right now, by the way? United States of America. Where does he coach right now? U.S. So I think Jermaine Jones made his decision. He kept his decision, and he went with his decision.
Suck a duck.
People don't fucking understand how this works when you're a dual nat, all right? Had I lived in Germany my whole life, would I be more German than American? Probably. I probably would be more torn towards that. But no, I only lived there for a portion of my youth, and then I moved back there again, and then I moved back here again. But the most of my life's been spent here. So yes, of course, I'm USA. But if USA's out of the fucking World Cup, who am I rooting for? Germany? This is not a hard discussion to have. And people just need to fucking give it up. Like this hardcore thing, like, hey man, you got to wear fucking red, white, and blue underwear, or you just can't be on the fucking national team. Man,
well, I agree with that, Derek. You have to wear red, white, and blue underwear.
Man, you got to be able to fuck Greg in the ass the way he likes it and scream USA while it's going on to be on the U.S. men's national team. Yeah, I don't get this.
Derek's getting called out here. Traitor.
All right,
hold on. Let me jump back here because this is a big one. Because, Brett, why did your dad leave Ireland in a rush and smells like TNT?
Oh, because he had like at least 6 girlfriends. That's the rumor.
You're off by a couple generations there.
Yeah,
my
your great-grandfather
had to leave Ireland because he was, in fact, a pirate.
And starving.
Went to Scotland, got moved out of there, and then came over to New England probably, and then settled in South Bend, Indiana. There's actually a road in South Bend called Ireland Road. It's named after my grandparents, my great grandparents.
They named the road after your great grandparents. Why didn't they name it Corbett?
Because he was Ireland at the time. That's his name.
Oh, his last name was literally Ireland.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh shit, you are Irish as fuck.
Yes.
All right. Your last name is Ireland.
Derek, come on. Of course I am. What are you trying to get at?
Yeah, damn.
I said this is a fun little segment to bring up because I know Derek always gets passionate about topics.
I'm gonna mail you some.
When it comes to who's an American citizen, who's not an American.
I'm gonna mail you some fucking potatoes tomorrow.
Yeah, my family left Ireland before the Great Famine occurred, so we're good.
Just in time.
Oh, you can tell. I can feel it right here. All right. So I say before we jump into the actual topics at hand, let's talk about one last article here.
Are you fucking kidding me?
This is the big one, Derek. This is the one that I can't believe we're an hour and 30 minutes into it, and we're just now getting to this. Man, I expected this at the 30-minute marker, but nope. Here we are, Derek.
All right, here we are.
Oh, wrong topic.
Okay.
So I gotta back out and back in.
That's what she said.
Yes.
No, actually, she said, "Could you please back out and back in?"
Back out and back in. You're on wrong hole. Sorry.
No. It's just wrong angle. U.S. soccer poised to ban Mexico if fans chant anti-gay puto this week, and that puto's in quotes.
I can't believe they actually had the gall to put that in the title.
Quotes.
In the title, let's cancel this website. As we go here is the Outsports, which is an SB Nation community website.
Yeah, I think
you can look this article up under soccer/fan/homophobia.
Okay.
But anyways, let's go over this article real quick. I've got a couple other things I pulled up here, and we can go over. But let's go over this article.
This is going to be really hard to police, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how you do this.
It's gonna get even harder when you actually read what USSF has done.
That's what she said.
Hey, you.
All right. Why don't you read it? Because that's too small.
Oh, you're going to be much better at
reading
than I am.
Which part do you want me to read?
We're going to do the whole article. It's not that long. It's a little bit.
That's what she said. All right. U.S. soccer will potentially ban Mexico's men's national team from competing in the United States for 2 years if the fans engage in the anti-gay chant this week when the USA hosts Mexico, according to the U.S. soccer's own policy. Last May, U.S. Soccer Board of Directors adopted a policy that makes clear that repercussions for teams from outside the United States, there's only one, if discriminatory chants, including the chant, arise en masse. I mean, how do you define that? 80%, 60%, 30%?
They do describe it later on. We'll go over
this.
Okay.
During a U.S.-based match, the teams shall further agree that if the supporters for their team engage in a discriminatory chant at an international match in the United States, that the team will not be permitted to play an international match in the United States for a period of 2 years.
All right.
Okay, that's sort of an official thing there. All right.
Yeah. So what the USSF CBA, the most recent CBA that came out in November, where they decided to share profits across the board.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter how much every team makes, we're sharing it across the board. They've also adopted the FIFA and CONCACAF procedures set up to address the homophobic chants like those you sometimes hear in Mexican national team matches.
Mm-hmm.
And then they mandate the promoters apply a 3-step process to stopping.
Okay.
And the 3 steps include as far as stopping a match, where you make an announcement. Everybody on the field, pause.
That's doable. You can do that.
Hey, can you stop that, please? Thank you.
If you do this again, the game will be suspended.
If it continues, they suspend it. They send all the players back to changing rooms for an appropriate amount of time. They say, "Hey guys, could you please stop? Just for next 20 minutes.
Again,
please don't say that word. Don't do the chant. Just anything else."
Nope. Hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, could you please stop saying that unnecessary word? If you don't stop saying it, we've gone past the suspending part, and now we're going to have to abandon the match.
Yeah. That's
so
when
if you don't stop, Okay.
Yeah. So that's the gist of what FIFA or USS Soccer has agreed to. So let's see here.
Okay. That seems like it's worked before, because it has. We've seen one game where that happened. Remember?
Yeah.
Do you remember that game? Yep.
So let's see here real quick. Go and read that. This is the last segment I want to read in this article.
Okay, the adopted policy also demands U.S. Soccer adhere to an in-game protocol to stop the chant if it arises to the event. Organizers, in this case U.S. Soccer, do not follow the protocol. U.S. Soccer could ostensibly ban itself from hosting any international games over the next 2 years. U.S. Soccer will not grant sanction to the promoter, FIFA match agent, to host an international match in the United States for a period of 2 years after the first violation of the provision. Man, if you're Mexico and reading this, you're like, damn, this is going to be awful.
Well, it doesn't necessarily just affect Mexico. It can affect the promoter as well. So,
yep.
And I'm going to skip here in just a second to the actual third article I had pulled up here. But say you have a 2019 U.S. versus Mexico Gold Cup match, and it just happens to house in Chicago. I mean, this is hypothetical, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And say that chat occurs.
The chant?
Yes, chant, not chat. Sorry. Apparently, there are four of the fans that are suing Soldier Field over this.
Okay.
Now, they talk about how if you don't stop the chant itself, that you as a promoter may lose the ability to host international matches for the next couple of years, 2 years, they said. But it's weird at the 2019 timeframe, and moving on from that point is when they were really deciding who was going to be hosting for the World Cup.
Okay,
guess one market that wasn't included.
The whole
Chicago.
Fucking Midwest.
Yeah. Fair enough on that point. But Chicago wasn't. Yeah. So this is just going to go over the the lawsuit. Now, mind you, let's go over the points of the lawsuit.
4 LGBTQ soccer fans say they were subjected to an onslaught of anti-gay slurs while attending the championship match of the 2019 CONCACAF Gold Cup at Soldier Field, and nobody did anything about it. But I guess the question will be, and this will come out in the case, was it audible to more than just them? Was it audible to the authorities? Was it audible to, the people who are supposed to be policing the game? Prior to the match between the U.S. and Mexico, the 4 plaintiffs say they urged Soldier Field, and the Chicago Parks District to adopt FIFA's 3-step procedure for dealing with discriminatory incidents. Fans of Mexico's national team often belt out homophobic slurs during matches, most notably, which roughly translate into male prostitute.
So prior to going to the match, the 4 plaintiffs had urged Soldier Field and whoever was running the event itself, to take on to the effect of what FIFA has already set up in place since 2018 World Cup in Russia. Was the 3-step procedure. Now, this hasn't been adapted into, say, law, if you will, with USSF, because we found out that happened here in 2022 in November. So this hasn't been official by any means. But they say, hey, maybe you should take into the equation what FIFA's enforcing, So that's where they're at right there.
Okay. More than 80% of the fans in attendance at Soldier Field supported Mexico and engaged in anti-gay misconduct that was not addressed or stopped by the Chicago Park District, Soldier Field, or its management company. The complaint reads, more than 80% of the fans in attendance. But how many of the 80% of the fans in attendance were a part of the misconduct?
But it sounds like 80% of the fans were Mexico fans, and they engaged. So it sounds like they're saying all 80% of them did.
All of them? I doubt that. Seriously.
Well, according to this description right here, it says 80% of the fans were in attendance were supporting Mexico and engaged.
Okay, that's like saying every single Mexican American is anti-gay. I'm not sure I'm buying that. So they cannot mean that.
The lawsuit is actually still in federal court. Just giving everybody a heads up on this.
I mean, as somebody who did some pre-law, this doesn't seem like a very strong case.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what they're gonna. I mean,
you got
I guess the idea is that
you gotta have
they're going and
witnesses
saying,
and
hey, there are a bunch of people out here saying anti-gay slurs, and Soldier Field did nothing. They did nothing. They didn't pause the game. Said, hey, cut it out. They didn't.
Well, this gets
the
into
match.
what
They didn't abandon the match.
This gets into what we were talking about in the game where we do remember it being paused, which is
Yeah.
It was audible over the TV. Like you could hear it. So if it's audible over the TV, then it's probably loud enough to be heard at the stadium. So I guess that's what that's going to come down to. And if it's audible in the stadium, then they need to go through the 3-step protocol, I guess, is what they've decided, right?
They talk about how like it happened like 25 times throughout the match.
Well, that's then just sounds random. But again,
we know exactly when it occurs.
Does it happen 25 times audibly for everyone to hear, or was it in certain sections that it was audible? Because it's really going to be hard for officials to pick it out if it's like in section A. But if it's in section A through Z, now you're hearing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it's going to be the audibility of it. How clearly can you decipher what's being chanted?
Yeah. I mean, at that point, I mean, ultimately, it'd be the way that it's set up now is that obviously the Federation, Mexican Federation, would get penalized via FIFA, and then if the venue doesn't abide by the 3-step program, they could end up losing out on at least 2 years of international gameplay.
Man, this is going to be really rough because. You know this is happening again. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. This chant ain't stopping.
Well, and I've got other tidbits here to pull up here. I'm going to pull them up in just a second, but I'm not sure at what point they talk about it because I'm not going to skim through this real quick. But they do talk about how they that USSF has even adopted this procedure at the individual fan level, so somebody could file a complaint, and if the event organizer doesn't take into consideration and do the 3-step program stop match or whatever, then at that point they can get penalized. But what if this is a slippery slope? Because what if somebody says, "Oh, well, this person said something offensive"? Then here we are in this boat.
Yeah, that gets really tricky. But I mean, let's go back to the more obvious one. Let's say we're in the United States, we're in Chicago. 60% of the crowd are pro-Mexico versus the USA. We go through all the protocols. It's decided the match has to be called off because it won't stop. The Mexican team is like, hey, we're not saying this. We didn't have anything to do with this. We want them to shut the fuck up, but they won't shut the fuck up. So what are we supposed to do about it? We went through all the protocols. And now what? Are we going to have to forfeit this match when I'm guaranteeing you that 60% of the fans in the stands are actually Mexican Americans, most of them. So since they're Mexican Americans, maybe the United States should have to fucking forfeit the game.
Well, that's something else. Let's see who said that. Kaiju Sports Club says it. So will U.S. forfeit CONCACAF games? Here's the big question. What happens? I'm not saying this would happen. And I hate to plant the seed in other people's minds, but what would happen if a portion of the audience all of a sudden started using that chant, but they weren't Mexican supporting fans? But you would automatically assume that it is because clearly it's their chant that they're
doing it to sabotage the game.
So I mean, again, this is a dangerous game they're playing. You know, I don't know how you police it. I don't know how you enforce this properly without really going down that road.
Yeah, I mean, there are all kinds of permutations and all kinds of mental gymnastics that you could possibly get involved with when you're not sure necessarily, although generally you're going to assume who the culprits are. But even if that's the case, the culprits may be pro-Mexican fans. But as you said, what if they're just sabotaging the game because maybe they're losing and they want to sabotage the game? So then they know the thing to start all chanting.
Game gets paused. They make the announcement. And then it happens again. They suspend it. They come back out and they do it again. Game's abandoned.
So game abandoned could mean either no result, because we don't know what game abandoned means technically yet. Maybe they haven't even defined it. Is it a draw? Is it a no contest? Is it the fans who were the ruckus for the bad side? The Mexican team loses because their fans were idiots. Yeah, I don't know. This is getting really tricky.
It's gonna be tough, and it'll be interesting. It'll be not interesting. I hate to say that, but it'll be something to even look forward to. I guess I don't know.
Not look forward to at all.
That's something that might happen in the near future. How about that? A better way.
It's an unfortunate thing we might have to deal with, because we've had to deal with it already once, where we had a game paused, and then the game restarted, and the chance did not go on, as far as I understand it.
David, do you watch yourself when you come up with topics like that? That ain't happening.
I think it's more than just being drunk, unfortunately. Yeah. And I'm not even going to get into the debate about the word, because believe me, I have been told by
we've talked about it a couple times, actually.
Mexican fans that word is not what you think it means. You guys are wrong.
Yeah.
And that's not what we think it means. So I don't know what the fuck you guys think it means, but that's not what it means in our culture. But, it doesn't mean necessarily gay. Yeah. It's not necessarily a gay. I've heard it all. But I guess at this point, we say, what's been said goes, and we're all going to have to live. They're going to have to live by those standards, because American fans aren't chanting that shit.
Yeah.
So
let's set up these last couple slides, and then we'll move on.
Yeah. While some of the specific wording may be subject to change, here's the gist. Discriminatory chants, defined as derogatory chant relative to race, ethnicity, religion, sexual orientation, or gender, are now strictly prohibited at U.S. stadiums. In order to host an international match, the U.S. promoters must agree to implement actions that prohibit, prevent, and eliminate discriminatory chants. Failure to address the matter could result in the promoter facing financial penalties and hosting bans.
So the beginning sentence that you brought up, because obviously we skipped those first two because there's no need. This by the way, they did talk about a source close to U.S. Soccer shared this.
Mm-hmm.
But it's while some of the specific wording may be subject to change. That's the part I don't like hearing stuff like that. But here's the gist. Here's what you need to understand. Don't do this. But then you don't do that, but they do something else. Like, well, that kind of falls into the category of what we're talking about over here.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just what's the actual terminology? Give us a definition of what can or cannot be done, and we'll go from there. But
how long has that word been part of the chant culture for the Mexican fans? I don't know. I'd like someone to tell me, but that's weird that's become such like the thing that they like to chant. I don't understand that. I don't know. I mean, most chants are like really
USA.
Well, that's us, right? But I remember when what's his name? Shit. There was a player. Can't remember his last name. Anyhow, something like something Hurst. Swindlehurst was his name. All right. And he was the first big player that was ever signed by, I can't remember the name of the team, but I believe it was Wimbledon at the time, had signed Jeff Swindlehurst, right? And he sucked. And they spent all this is the biggest signing they'd ever made. And so they would chant, less Swindle, more Hurst, less Swindle, more Hurst. Like, that's creative, right? Yeah. Like, go after a player's name or something like that. Go after, I don't know, be creative. But I guess you're just going to use the P word. I don't know. It seems boring to me, but
Yeah.
all right.
So here's starting with the in order. In order to hold promoters accountable, the U.S. Soccer is mandating they post a bond equal to the lesser of 10% of the anticipated paid gate of the match, or $1 million.
If the promoter doesn't take appropriate action to stop bigoted chants, U.S. Soccer will use the liquidated damages to promote diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging initiatives. There's an acronym for that too, DEIB. In addition, promoters won't be able to hold international contests for 2 years after the first violation. The ban extends to 5 years after a second violation. It becomes indefinite if a third happens. I guess if you're a promoter, you're like, hey man, I do not want any USA Mexico games in my fucking stadium. Just somebody else can have it.
But they go on to talk about it. It sounds like it's like when Mexico is even going to be playing up against Costa Rica for a match, that was in contention. So it's like, even if the Rose Bowl holds like a Mexico versus Honduras match and Mexico does it, that Rose Bowl can get banned for 2 years. Even if it's not a U.S. match.
Are there any other countries outside of Mexico where this chant is commonplace?
Not that I'm aware of, but
not that I'm aware of either. Because if there were, then you'd be like, what if it were prominent? I'm not saying it is, but what if it were prominent in Honduras and Honduras are playing Mexico? Now you're wondering, okay, well, who's chanting that?
Well, I mean, obviously, if they can take into contention, just racism in general that occurs during a match, like bananas being thrown on the pitch, shit like that.
Yeah.
Of course,
Italian racist things.
Spain and Italian, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what the two I was thinking of there. Obviously, that's in contention too, but obviously, this specific chant that's being brought up is very close to home with us, being next door. So
yeah,
that's why it's prominent for us. We don't necessarily know if there are other countries doing similar
things.
things.
Know what the Mexican Federation's take is on that word? Have they made a statement? Have they ever made an announcement? We should look that up. I'd be curious to see what they've said, but we don't have to do it now. That means the stakes are high for venues that host international matches. Last year, a group of fans sued the operators of Soldier Field, which we talked about earlier, over the repeated use of the homophobic chant during a 2019 CONCACAF Gold Cup match between the U.S. and Mexico. The fans, 4 of whom identify as LGBTQ, say they were subjected to an onslaught of homophobic slurs, and management at Soldier Field failed to protect them. The case is now in federal court.
Yep. And,
so, Jesus, we got more to read?
Yeah, because this is talking about where Mexico is facing Ecuador. This basically talks about how this is affecting. We talked about this already, actually.
Yeah, we did.
I'm not even going to bother with that. But yeah, because it's affecting matches in the U.S. for venues that aren't even U.S. men's national team based or U.S. soccer based in general. So, I mean, it's like if Soldier Field, let's go Rose Bowl again. Rose Bowl holds a Mexico versus, say, Honduras match, and it happens. They don't enforce the 3-step rule. Then USSF is going to simply say, well, you're not going to hold any more FIFA sanctioned international matches here. That's what it sounds like, at least.
If the term simply means male prostitute, which it can't possibly, because there's nothing. If you're like a male prostitute, the
article specified that it was male prostitute with males.
Hold on, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So I hear people say, "Oh no, it's not a gay thing." Okay, so but if you're a male gigolo, like Deuce Bigalow, that's nothing to be ashamed of. Like that, you're the man. If you're, Deuce Bigalow, male gigolo. So this is not what they're saying. If you're calling somebody a male prostitute they're saying it in a derisive, way, they're obviously meaning a gay male prostitute, right? I mean,
paused too long there, Derek.
That is what they mean.
It clearly means a gay prostitute.
It clearly means is a gay prostitute. This is big league. I don't know, dude, but that seems pretty clear to me.
Yeah.
So I don't know how long this justification thing's going to go on, because in the end, though, what a mess. Wow.
Yeah.
All for some stupid chant. All right. What else we got?
We have some movement in the international match coming up here on Wednesday, actually. Some players coming in, some players leaving.
Some
basically
some bowel movements.
Oh no! So this isn't actually. That's coming up. We'll talk about that in a second. This is Chris Gary talking about his admiration for Christian Roldan and Jordan Morris. Says everyone is asleep, so nobody will see this tweet. I'm a big admirer of Jordan Morris and Christian Roldan's game. They are the best MLS has to offer, and they make U.S. men's national team better. Hashtag Sounders.
Andy at the Sounders. Jesus.
Like, this account has been hacked.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so here's the news. Paxton Pomykal has taken the place for Paul Arriola.
Yeah.
And on top of that, Christian Roldan has withdrawn as well.
Yeah. So yeah, we were talking about bowel movements, right? And Paul Arriola and Christian Roldan were just shut out of the U.S. soccer system and off the team for now for injuries. And we got Paxton Pomykal.
People are upset because they're saying, "Hey, this latest snub for Ledesma means he's one step closer to playing for Mexico."
I don't think so.
No,
I mean, come on, let's be real.
He might. I mean, you never know.
If he looks at what's gone on so far of guys that actually start in MLS and play every fucking game who've made that transition, and we're looking at guys that went to Barcelona and aren't playing for Mexico on a regular basis. No, I don't think that if you're him, you're looking and going, hey, there's a good chance I could play for Mexico. No, that ain't happening. So he's going to hold on. Then, he'll hold on for now, Ledesma. I think maybe Keaton Parks has a good reason to bitch and moan.
Yeah.
By the way, he scored again this weekend. And there are other players. Maybe Leon Flack, or he wasn't really starting all the games with Philadelphia, but there are other guys that are worth taking a look at. We know what Paxton Pomykal is at this point, and I don't really think he's going to get any better than he is right now. He is who he is. He's just healthy for once. But we watched him play the last game for the U.S. that he played in. It was fucking horrible.
It was not good at all.
It was horrific.
I was actually going to surprise how many people made excuses for him.
No, I mean, people want to because either they're FC Dallas fans or they just want to believe that one time when Bayern Munich was scouting or taking a look at or tracking Paxton Pomykal. By the way, that was a long time ago, and he's had many surgeries since then. He's just not the same player he was. I mean, not ceiling-wise, he's not. So we found out he's actually pretty lumbering, a little slow, not quick to react, not a very accurate passer, not in that game, and just slow to make decisions. Maybe he was nervous, first time playing in a while for US. So, but I think that he's just going to go there and warm the bench. I don't think he's going to play. It maybe get 10 minutes, 5 minutes or something like that. But
yeah,
I would have liked to seen somebody new, a fresh face, somebody like Ledesma, get him back in the role of things. Keaton Parks would have been nice. Yeah, I had a bunch of different guys I thought, should have gotten a shot, but or at least a look. Even though they were going to like Atencio for Seattle. I mean, if you're going to pull Roldan, why don't you put Atencio in there? Give him a little look-see. He's been playing really well for the Sounders this season. Yeah. Anyhow, so there's that. All right, what else we got?
I've got a kid popping his head in right now. I need to go take care of this in a second. Do you want to talk about the Yanks Abroad for the weekend?
You're going to go slap that child, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. Totally. All right, I'll be back in a sec.
All right, I'll see you in a sec. All right, let's cover what the fuck happened here, folks. On Friday, Sargent scored a goal. He went 80. He scored, but Norwich got their asses handed to them, and it looks like they're going to fall out of the promotion zone, the promotion playoffs. Zach Steffen went 90 in a win. We don't talk about Marlon Fossey much, but he went 90 and scored again for Standard Liège, who are at least classically one of the better teams in Belgium. Not so much this year, but it's something to keep an eye on. Not that we need more and more right backs, because we like to bring 4 or 5 of them to every tournament, but why not include Fossey in something coming forward? Haji Wright went 90 and got an assist in a win. Green, that's Julian Green, went 90 and got a win as well for Firth. Dietz, Maximilian Dietz, was in the 18 and did not play. We've been talking about Maloney for some time. Leonard Maloney, he's been playing at the center defensive mid spot for Heidenheim. He went 90 for a win for them. Heidenheim looking pretty good. And so is Leonard Maloney at center defensive midfield. He's kind of a wrecker, though. I don't know if he's kind of somebody we're looking for. Maybe potentially, but he's old. He's not really that young anymore. He's not like in his 19 or 18. This guy's in his 20s, early 20s. So it might be too late for him to get better than where he is, but you never know. Alan Sonora, 7 for Juarez. We got, I should probably turn on the comments while Brett's gone, so I'm not all by myself here and see what you guys are saying. All right, here we go. We got, although his brother, Joe Sonora, did not play, and nor did Ventura Alvarado. We're on to Saturday. We got through Friday, Brett.
Oh, good.
Pulisic went 56. We already mentioned that in a fucking horrible game. Jedi and Ream went 90 in a win for Fulham. Horvath, 90 in another win for Luton. Things are looking good for Luton right now. DK, 45 in a win, but he didn't do much. Gooch, 62 for Sunderland versus Trustees, Birmingham. He went 90, but he played left back. Trustee again? I think it's the second or third game in a row playing left back. Gooch and his Sunderland team won. Holmes is still injured. Balogun went 90 in a loss. Brooks 90 in a tie versus Bayern. By the way, Brooks is back. Period. Chris Gary says for $4.99. I hate to say it, but I'm ready to pull the plug on Hoppy. It's a shame. I had such high hopes for him. Man, Chris, I know, man.
Sad.
He didn't even play again. He rode Pine for 90, and they subbed in 3 offensive players ahead of him. Again, second game in a row. Something is not right there, and I might ask what that issue is, so maybe we could get a little insight. I've been kind of afraid to ask, honestly.
I don't want
to piss on anyone's parade, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, the fact of the matter is, you're never going to get. I honestly don't think you're ever going to get an honest answer, because you're never going to believe that, especially if you're friends with.
Somebody we won't say who. Yeah.
To some extent, you're going to be like, well, he's busting his ass. He's better than all the other strikers there, and he's just not doing it. But we're at the third club now where this is a common occurrence. So,
somebody's got to get real with Matthew and figure out what the real problem is. Is it his play?
Mike,
is it his attitude?
Oh, here we go. Even more earlier than Mike. Yeah, maybe he does need to come back, and maybe he does need to come to MLS.
Well, then here's the thing, Jesse. If it's an attitude problem, coming to MLS isn't going to help necessarily.
Lack of competition, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, I think if he's in Scotland right now and he's playing for fucking Hibernian, he's getting into Soto territory here. Mm-hmm. It's like when Soto was at Livingston and couldn't get a fucking minute. And then when he did, it wasn't that great. So, he could come to MLS, but at this rate, he can end up in USL.
It's absolutely frustrating, because watching him play in the Gold Cup,
he was great.
Like, he should be playing somewhere. I'm not saying he should be playing at the top level by any means. He played for Schalke and scored a couple had a couple games where he scored goals. But outside of that, though, he hasn't really played anywhere else in Europe. And when he's played for the United States, he's looked good. So you think that he should be competing there. So maybe it is just an attitude issue, and he's rubbed people the wrong way.
And I can see that. And we saw that with him and Greg. He rubbed Greg the wrong way.
Yeah.
Which isn't hard to do, honestly, because Greg's an insecure bastard. But all right, yeah, it's sad. Thank you for bringing it up. It really made my day.
Thanks for bringing the whole show down, Chris. Appreciate that.
We were talking about Reyna. Scally went 90 in a tie. Chandler was in the 18, didn't play, but his teammate Paxton Aronson went 35. And honestly, Paxton was not bad. He looked a little lost on occasion. He looked like there's one of his teammates made a horrible pass to him and blamed it on him. That's so fucking classically just a bad teammate
Dick
shit.
move, bro.
What a dick move. What a dick move. You can go back and watch it yourself. Just watch the last 35 minutes of Paxton playing on ESPN Plus. It's worth it. And then watch for the dick move thing where Paxton makes a great run and this dickhead on the left wing crosses it behind him and then blames Paxton for not making the correct run. Fuck you, dude. He made the perfect run.
Yeah.
Reynolds, 90 in a 0-0 tie. Odasawi versus Odasawi's team. Of course, we know where Odasawi is. He's playing with the youth team.
He's anywhere.
He's demoted. Terrence Boyd, 25. Like, he didn't start. They finally said, hey, buddy, you're not scoring. We're in a slump. You're going to be on the bench. And then
Terrence
Boyd came. Terrence Boyd.
Okay.
Kaiserslautern. They benched him. He came off the bench for the last 25 and scored the winning goal. So maybe he'll start again.
Berlin tagged us in a video of it. And I've yet to sit down and watch it because obviously I got the notification right before the show started. So
right.
Said it was a hell of a goal. Now, of course, it was a hell of a goal because if it was a game-winning goal, it's always a hell of a goal.
And you had to treat your herpes before you came on live. Yeah. All right, Tessman. It's your dog. Tessman, 90.
Dog's being a real pain in my butt now that the door is open.
It's getting to the point where it's so obvious that Tessman's like probably the best player on Venezia at this point. He went 90 again. He got the goal again, and he won again. So I think Tessman's the guy that they settle on at Venezia is the guy that they're going to keep and probably see if they can go back to Serie A. Whereas Novakovic gets 2 minutes. And Busio rides Pine the whole game. He rode Pine the whole 90. He was in the 18 dress.
What the fuck is going on with Busio? Well, according to Derek,
we told
never
you
an option.
He was never good in the first place. I said it, 8 months ago? I told you.
Yeah.
He's not good, folks. He's not a good player. That he doesn't even pass the eye test as a good player. So yeah, he's now a bench warmer at Venezia. There you go. And he has been all season.
I mean, I feel like maybe it could be a lot of that. His time as a pro has been at least with Sporting before he moved to Venezia, but he was all over the fucking place.
What position good with Sporting?
What?
He wasn't that good with Sporting.
At certain times of the year, he may have been.
He was
no, as a whole.
At best. He had moments, but then when he played for like the US team when he was called up, he was not good. It was pretty obvious to me. He's not good at defense. He's not good at offense. He's not good at moving forward. He's not good at running. He's not fast. He's not athletic. He's not tall. He's not muscular. Name me one thing that Busio's fucking good at. One thing. All right. We already talked about Hoppy. Harks assist. Ian Harks, an assist for Dundee United in their win. Malik Tillman went 77 in a win. Did not really shine in that game. Pepe, we already did we talk about Pepe? Pepe went 90 and got a goal. In another loss.
We kind of talked about Pepe a little bit.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about his performance.
Sunday. Weah went 45 in a win. Same position. Eric Palmer Brown, 90 in a loss. Not surprising. PFOC, the last 4. PFOC's really playing himself off of this team. Kevin Paredes, 30, and then he got injured. Hopefully it's not too bad. Toljan went 90 in a win versus your team, Juve. Musa, 60 in a loss. And, man, he played all right. He was involved in some very touchy moments that led to goals. McKenzie, 90 in a win. Booth is injured. Mihailovic for Aze, I did not catch. Soto, 60 in a loss for Klagenfurt.
That's promising.
I know. No goals. Kappas, 30 for Brøndby. CCV's injured. Zendejas, 2 goals in 90 minutes. And then MLS standouts. Keaton Parks.
Didn't he get injured, though? Zendejas, didn't he get injured, too?
No, he was, but he still played with a face mask.
I mean, he got a busted nose. I know that. I thought he got injured at the end of
No, he played with his face mask.
I feel like I'm mixing people up then, okay.
You are. Zendejas played with a face mask and scored 2 goals. Didn't bother him at all. Made him look like a superhero. All right.
The masked man.
Exactly.
For Club America.
Keaton Parks, a goal in 90 minutes. Ledesma got 60. He got an assist in that game as well for NYCFC. Servania, a goal for Toronto. Brooks Lennon, an assist for Atlanta on a corner. Bradley, an assist. Omar, yeah, I know.
Talking about Bradley, really?
Michael Bradley got an assist. Omar Fernandez, a goal. Jonathan Tolkien, an assist for New York Red Bulls. Ferreira, a goal and a win. Asani Dotson, an assist. Duncan McGuire, a goal for Orlando. Morris was moved out wide for Seattle, so Rui Diaz could come back and take a center forward spot. And guess what? They got their asses kicked. I'd move Morris right back to center forward, guys. I'm sorry. If I were a Seattle fan, that's what I would insist on happening. Ibobase, 84 and 2 goals and a win. Cade Cowell, an assist in that game as San Jose destroyed Kansas City 3-0. Yeah, you got to wonder what's going on in Kansas City. Vermees better get this turned around or he's not going to have a job, or he might have wished he took the sporting director job.
He should have taken the U.S. position.
Yeah. St. Louis had 2 youngsters, former youngsters, U.S. youngsters, score. Jared Stroud had a goal and an assist for St. Louis, and Gioacchini had a goal. That's it. That is everybody.
Neymar says we're getting an update on Asani Dotson. LOL.
I know. You know, I just
trying to get an update on Bradley. I think that's more LOL than anything.
Michael Bradley. Well, we haven't heard much from Michael, but I thought
basically you need a game that does anything in MLS.
Yeah, you do something, I at least give you 5 seconds. Just a little tiny clap. A little 2-finger clap. There you go. All right, I think we are done here for the night, unless we have anything else to do, Brett.
All I got.
All right, 2 hours and 7 minutes into this motherfucker, and we are just about out of here. I want to make sure that you like and subscribe and share it with your great aunt and your grandma. Let's see, what else is there? All right. Until the next time on the Straight Red Card, I just want to say Lou Ferrigno does not look that bad or ugly. Good night.
But she's a trap. She's an unsung novel. Turn a lap and get your whole world dazzled on the line, or a phone call with or without wine.
You're gonna do her. Yeah.
Oh no!